Hello everyone, my name is Steven and this video is dedicated for those people who are in active selling, which means that you are currently a salesperson or a sales manager, and this is actually a very short topic on the differences between B2B selling and B2C selling. Now, if you wonder what these terms is all about, B2B and B2C, let me just give you the full definitions. B2B is actually called business to business. So when you are in a B2B category, you are selling your product to another company for the company to use your product in their productions, or to complete their products, right? So which means that you are selling to another business organizations. Whereas in terms of B2C, business to consumer, you are selling your product to the end consumer. The C stand for consumer, which means that whoever bought your product is actually buying it for their own consumption, buying it for their own usage. All right, so this is the major difference between these two categories, a B2B as well as a B2C. Now, a lot of salespeople get very confused of these two concepts. Now, when you get confused of these two concepts, chances are you are not going to sell effectively. Why? The reason is so simple because B2B has its own characteristics, and whereas B2C also has its own characteristics. So what I'm going to do today in this short video is that I'm going to share with you three elements on B2B selling and another three elements on B2C selling. All right, so let's look into the B2B selling. If you look into B2B selling, you will notice that when you sell to an organization, you are actually looking into a very highly logic driven environment. So you are selling into a very logic driven environments. You don't sell it to an individual, but you sell it to a group of people. Most probably when you do a sales pitching in an organizations, and the sales pitching sessions will be attended by the panel, and the panel can be consist of, well, it can be the CEO, the CFO, the CTO, and most probably the engineering managers, the engineers as well if you're selling a technical product, right? So it is actually a very highly logic driven environment. So which means that you cannot be using the emotional strategies where a lot of salespeople like to use, right? Buy now, if not, the discount will be out, right? Do it now, confirm now, otherwise our stock is going to finish. Now, all this type of emotional appeal doesn't really work in B2B selling. That is the first point. That is the first characteristic of B2B selling. Now, the second characteristic of B2B selling is that most organizations, I would say, focus on saving resources. So when you have a panel of members to discuss whether to buy your product or not to buy your product, their focus is always on, well, saving resources. Their focus is always on getting the best product at the most, I will not say cheap, at the most affordable price. All right. So second point to note if you are in a B2B selling is that your clients is looking into saving resources. Now, if you are in a manufacturing environment and you sell to a manufacturing environment, you will notice you will actually be very, very familiar with this word called cost down. Wherever you do, wherever you sell, people will actually ask you, your client, your prospect will actually ask you for, can you cost down, right? So cost down is always the key word in selling to B2B, all right? So another element, which is the third element in terms of B2B selling, is that it requires an in-depth promotions or it requires an in-depth follow-up. You cannot sell in one meeting. Your first meeting, you need to move on to your second meeting. And how to move on to your second meeting? Your first meeting success is to get the second meet up with your clients. All right. So B2B selling also involve a complex decision making. So if you are in a B2B selling, so these are three things for you. First, it is actually a very highly logic driven environment. Second, your clients, your prospect will be looking into saving resources. And third, you require to do an in-depth follow-up, in-depth promotions in order to close the sales. You cannot close the sales in one meetup, right? So that is actually B2B selling. Now, moving forward to B2C selling, business to consumer selling. Now, business to consumer selling, which means that you are selling it to the end user, you're selling it to the person that is going to use your product on a personal basis or maybe on a family basis, right? So this format, this B2C selling, it is a simple and direct format, right? It's a simple and direct, area of selling where three things. First, it focused on simple and easy messaging. Simple and easy messaging. Very direct, that's the first point. Very direct, you don't go hit around the bush and everything. And the first point will actually link to the second point, which is actually appealing to emotions. Now, people get emotional when they want to buy something. Just imagine that they want to buy an iPhone 11, or moving forward, it's going to be iPhone 12. People will queue up just to buy the phone, right? People will just queue up, either is physical store or online, right? Online, people will just wait for that particular slot, wait for the particular window time. Even though it's the middle of the night, they will just wake up and wait for it because it appeals to emotions. Because why? Because things that people like in terms of their emotions and things that they like is actually become one. So B2C is all about emotional selling. So if you are in B2C selling, always focus on how do you increase the emotional appeal, right? And that is the second characteristic. That's the second element. What about the third element? Third element is very important. The third element is that decision making in B2C selling is on one particular individual. So it's called single decision maker. So when you want to sell something to that particular end user, all you need to do is to convince the end user that this product is for you. Whether you are selling a car, a phone, a house, or whatever things, it is actually to convince that particular person, whoever is paying the bill, you convince that person and you will get the sales. And sometimes, of course, it will be indirect person. Sometimes you need to convince a spouse in order to get the sales. Or sometimes you need to convince the kids, the children, in order to get the sales. But overall perspective, the decision making on B2C selling, it is still on a single decision maker. So these are the differences between B2B selling as well as B2C selling. And hopefully you have actually enjoyed as well as benefited from this short video, especially for those people who are in selling, right? So if you like this video, please give us a like as well as share this video to your fellow colleagues who will benefit from this particular video. And if you need any consultations, if you need any training programs in terms of selling skills, selling techniques, feel free to call me at 016-470-5888. All right. I repeat, 016-470-5888. Or you can just drop me an email at Steven, Steven, dot Khaw, Khaw, which is my surname, at acute link, ACUTELINK.com. Right? So with this, I am Stephen Khaw signing off.